So you want to learn how to wax your own snowboard? I don't blame you, it's a great idea. It's really easy to do, good way to save some money and actually spend some more time with your board. Stick around, I'll show you how to do it right now. The first thing you need to wax your own snowboard, of course, is wax. After doing it for a while, you'll end up with a bunch of little shapes and sizes of leftover pieces of wax. The next thing you're going to need is a plastic scraper. Doesn't matter the brand or the size. The next thing you're going to want is a hard bristle plastic brush. Be careful. Do not use an iron that you use on clothing. It will destroy your clothing. You really can't ever get the wax out of an iron. So I picked up this one at Target for about 10 bucks. And last but not least, of course you're going to need your snowboard. The first thing that you're actually going to want to do when you start waxing your snowboard is remove the bindings. Technically, you can leave the bindings on to wax the snowboard, but it actually makes it unstable and hard to get a good scrape when you're trying to get the wax off. And also, when you apply heat to the base of the board, the locations where the screws are going through and holding the bindings to the deck itself will actually create dimples in the base of your board. Once we've got the bindings off, we could set those aside for now and get them out of the way. What we want to do now, flip the board over and make sure that we have a nice steady platform to work on. As you can see, I put down a towel. This is sort of a scrap old towel, but I did it just to protect the table underneath from getting all the wax embedded in it. That's just bound to happen. If you're working on a nice surface, I highly recommend putting down some sort of drop cloth or towel, okay? Also, I do not recommend doing this over a carpeted floor. If you have to, it's okay, but keep a vacuum nearby to get it up before it gets too matted into the carpet. We've got the iron here, preheating to the maximum temperature. You definitely want to have the steam off, and just to be careful, I never put any water in this to allow it to have steam anyway. We're going to preheat the base of this board by running the bare iron slowly over the whole length of the base from tip to tail at about this speed until the whole thing is warmed up. And you're going to test that by feeling the top sheet of the board with your hand and making sure that it's warm. And if it is, then you know the base is warmed up enough, the sinters have opened, and the board is now ready to accept wax. This will take a few minutes, but you do want to check every once in a while and see how warm the board has gotten, as you don't want to overheat it. That could destroy some of the glues and things that are holding all the different plies of the board together. So all you're going to do is hold the wax to the base of the iron and just drip hot wax onto the deck. And you can do that in any way that you want. You just want to make sure that you've got, a fair amount of wax covering the deck of the board. Now, a mistake a lot of beginners make when they're doing this for the first or second time is they put way too much wax on the deck. So it's not about, totally immersing this deck in wax or anything like that. You just want to put a thin coat of wax over the whole deck of the board, and we're going to melt it in with the iron here in a second. And then you're going to scrape almost all of it away. So you do not want to put too much on there because you're going to just work against yourself here in a few minutes, and it's going to be just more work for you and a waste of wax. Now you want to pay special attention to the edges, as that's where the majority of the friction occurs when you're riding, and those are the parts of the board that are going to lose wax the fastest. So I like to just put a little bit of extra wax on the edges, just like that. Now I'm just going to take the iron that's still heated and put it on there. I want to melt this wax, and as you can see, it's melting nicely. And I'm going to drag the iron lengthwise across the whole board, melting the wax as I go. The base is going to take up the majority of this wax and hold on to it. Any of the wax that's left over that you can actually feel and touch with your fingers we're gonna scrape off in the next step. At this point, the board has cooled down completely and the wax is as absorbed as it's gonna get into the base. So what we need now is our plastic scraper. If you don't have one of these, I've put the link to it below. You can get them on Amazon for like a couple of bucks, not a big deal. I've had this one for about 3 or 4 years now and it's holding up just fine. Now there's a couple of ways that you could do this. You can either push like this, or you could push like this. If you do the second way, where you're pushing like this, you can pull a little bit too much wax off of the board. For the early stages, when the board is totally covered, I don't think it's a big deal. But to be safe, I almost always will do the majority of my wax scraping in this direction. And I'm gonna do that until the base of the board feels like there's almost no wax there at all. And it looks like a whole lot is gonna come off, so you'll see. Wax fact, what the wax is actually doing to make you go faster over the snow is not making you slide. It's actually making the board increase friction with the snow, which superheats the snow and melts it instantly. That's why if you've ever been skiing or snowboarding behind somebody else and it looks like their path that they've just covered is sort of glistening and shiny, it is, because it's melted and it's refreezing instantly. So that's what we're doing here. That's why you don't want a ton of wax on the board. It's not the wax itself that you're sliding along, it's the water. Alright, we're right at the end. The last thing that you need to do before putting your bindings back on your board and hitting the slopes is taking your plastic bristle brush and just polishing the bottom of the board, removing any extra wax that's left over. Alright guys, if there's something that you saw me using in this video that you don't already own, just check the description below and I've actually got links to all the stuff on Amazon or whatever website I found the best price on. Guys, I hope that you saw and can appreciate how easy it is to wax your own snowboard at home. I've never paid somebody else to wax a snowboard of mine, and I don't plan to ever do it. I really enjoy doing it myself. It's some time where I can watch snowboard videos and spend some time alone with my board. So I'm gonna go hit the slopes. You guys hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you later.